Gearheads, can you hear me? I don't want to yell too much. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to try yelling. Gearheads, can you hear me? I don't know. How's that sound? Did that blow everyone's speakers out? What's happening, everyone? Oh, it is Monday. I'm excited. I was kind of tired earlier. And then I gradually got more excited about this stream. I took a few notes. It's been 2 or 3 weeks. Some of these notes I sent to Kong as well. Probably, just a few weeks ago, I was just thinking, man, there's so many interesting things about this ecosystem. And next time I do a gift stream, I want to talk about it. So not only did that get, well, I mean, Kong was making spreadsheets, but even before I sent him the notes, he was just like, oh yeah, cool notes and stuff too. But yeah, we got a lot to cover. We got a hot hour to do it in, and it's going to be fun. Everyone out there, if you don't know about the gift ecosystem, you're going to know today. You're going to learn today if you listen to this conversation. And those of us who've been in the community for a while now, and actually been working more closely with the team as of the last little bit as well, there's a lot of stuff to be excited about. There's a ton of cool things, and I really like what it does for PulseChain. What the no ceiling, like pun intended in this conversation, of Giff-Tec, and just the whole ethos, the principles, and we talked about that principles, not promises, all the cool stuff, Kool-Aid, all the stuff he's came up with as well. And yeah, very excited to get into it. Anyways, without further ado, I could chat in just a minute. Crypto Kong, welcome back to the show.
What's up, man? Awesome intro. Lots of energy there. Lots of focus.
I'm trying to bring it. People say I'm measured. I can be unmeasured. I can turn it up sometimes.
Yeah, you got me hyped up, man. Like ready to talk about all the what is it, the permabull tokenomics and stuff like that. So
you got the permabull. That's one aspect. You got well, I mean, I guess when you talk about Pulsar, there's like these. You got the Pulsar. What's that called? Bridge. What's that? Pathway. Yeah, they got that, which is actually pretty cool. That'll be taking liquidity and stuff to PulseChain, but that's a different project. It's launching on Ethereum with Titanx and stuff coming at some point this year, I guess. And then so that's got a bunch of different pieces to it with it too. But for Giff-Tec on PulseChain, this is you got permabull tokenomics. You have the different principles. Shoot, they're like escaping at this point. Let's see. Deflation, creation, not inflation. There you go. Yeah, no leaky boat. Actually, a video that just came out that on the Giff-Tec channel that went over a bunch of these as well. So yeah, if you haven't checked it out, learn permabull. It is tiny. About to pull up my screen for a minute. Learn permabull. tinyurl.com/learn permabull is where I have collected and curated a ton of the different videos, many of which on my channel, many of which on other people's channels. But yeah, that's where you can binge all the permabull stuff. But yeah, I love the principles. I like the team behind it a lot. And just this is just something new. It's something new. And the tech, and we had at least price performance for the first couple months or so, and then price performance on the other direction the last few weeks or so, which has been interesting as well. But man, there's a lot to be excited about for this thing. And I'll pull up. Yeah, we got a hot hour to go through this. It's gonna be fun because I got a lot of stuff. I'll just put it on the. Sorry, chat, I can't get to you right now. I appreciate everyone out there, but I need to get engaged, get initiated. Need to pull up the site too, and give people the knowledge, share the links, all that stuff. There's a ton of stuff to it, man. I mean, it's one of those things where I definitely want to get your ideas and thoughts and your initial pieces that you thought were interesting too. But just the whole ability to go from having GIF, which was essentially meme coin, just ERC20, nothing special, and then being able to take that mint PGIF from it, and we have all these in-depth conversations, philosophical and otherwise, about what is GIF versus PGIF? Why should you hold one versus another? What is the difference? Teams, GIF said a lot of times they're the same coin, but one is minted with PLS, all that stuff too. I guess that's the way I explain it. But then that's just the permabull part. Part of it goes to buying and burning the token off the market for PGIF. It burns the original token, so there's all that. But the most interesting part, there's the permabull tokenomic side, and there's a community building side. I'm just speaking of principles and stuff too. There's this way of bringing people together that have aligned incentives, really. I mean, if you're a team out there and you got a coin, or you're just a founder in some way, or you've a community that's rallied around whatever peak hobbies out there, there's different sub communities and stuff like that on PulseChain, and you want something that can make your coin deflationary, or you want to, build your own community up or otherwise. And hey, we're all creating volume and stuff on PulseChain. You could always go like the lowest common denominator of more volume, more people interested, more all these things on PulseChain. There is the tech to do it. And that's what, every time there's a new permeable token or permeable asset token otherwise launched, it's taking a community and being like, hey, here's a buy and burn. If you guys, it's up to you to go mint the coins, to burn the tokens, to do all this stuff. But it's like this really cool flywheel effect that it needs community engagement, though. That's the big piece too. It is really community based. It is really DeFi based. And I've really been fascinated with it for a few weeks now. So yeah, I'll stop there. I'll scroll a little bit and let you talk about what you think is interesting about the system.
So yeah, I definitely, my sort of initial thoughts was what really caught my attention was, first of all, the price chart. Like as it was going up a lot, I think caught a lot of people's attention on PulseChain. And then you had iBurn that got released shortly after some of the price appreciation on GIF and PGIF. And if anyone doesn't really know me, I'm like an OG ICOSA guy. Like that's where I started. Like my YouTube channel was doing a lot of like ICOSA videos and tutorials and things like this. So seeing something like iBurn kind of get thrown into the pool of tokens here on PulseChain was quite intriguing to me, because I think I think all of the deployments so far, what we've seen is they're net positives, right? Like now ICOSA like is being taken off the market. It has some sort of buy and burn. Not only that, it's also fueling the GIF buy and burn as well. And then yeah, Max is pulling up the burnt ICOSA as well. So yeah, that was one of the things that caught my attention. I thought like the whole thing was super complex, and it is to a certain extent, but at the same time it is quite simple. And once you sort of understand, let's say just the main protocol, or the first one, GIF and PGIF, sort of the other ones come together because they are sort of similar things. They have different nuances with like the buy and burns and like different like percent allocations towards different things. But for the most part, like it is a quite simple system. And I really liked, like, thank you for pulling up the schematics, because I really liked looking at the schematics and just going over those, because I think it looks a lot more complex than it really is. And it doesn't take that much time to actually get down to the bottom and realize like what is happening.
What
I
is
find
the simplest way to say it too? Like, sorry to interrupt, but just like, what is, everyone out there, I feel like they're always like, oh, it's too complicated. They look at this diagram. Like I look at the diagram like, oh, thank you for this amazing diagram that can tell me how the thing works. I imagine a lot of people, they're just like, they look at a diagram like, wow, that's just too many pieces. Oh, what am I supposed to do with that? Like, that's already too complicated. What is the simplest way? Have you been able to explain it to anyone, or just find a way to be like, this thing just buys and burns coins? That's all you really need. If you want to mint coins, it does it. If you're part of a community and it launches on it, you can benefit by doing this. What's the simple way to explain this thing?
I think one of the simplest ways you could explain it is just by saying, if like the iBurn token goes over like a certain ceiling price, let's call it, like how it, like in ICOSA we have the ceiling price and stuff like that. So yeah, if iBurn were to go over like a set ceiling price in PLS, then there is an incentive to go in there and use ICOSA to mint iBurn, and by doing so, you're actually burning ICOSA, or I mean, technically burning ICOSA, sending it to the dead address. And since you're injecting PulseChain into the contract as well while you're minting the iBurn, you're essentially fueling buy and burns and different like pumpamental mechanics. So that might still be a little bit complex, but I think the easiest way to explain it is yeah, there's a arbitrage opportunity, and if somebody's incentivized and decides to take you up on that arbitrage opportunity, then there is like, I think Gifford says it well, a permanently bullish stance on the underlying tokens, right?
Yeah, well, I'm still trying to distill it down, and that's definitely an explanation that it's going to resonate with a lot of people, especially in ICOSA. You're already used to different game mechanics and stuff. If 5 words, I want to almost ask ChatGPT 5 words to explain GIF. Make your token deflationary. It's almost like, I almost want to like not even talk about the buy and burn, because how does that work? It's kind of like, don't ask me more questions. Make your token deflationary. because that's what it did for GIF. That's what it's doing for ICOSA. That's what it's doing for Nope and LUSD and all that stuff too. So, man, it's like, is it that simple? Is it literally, as a user, is it just minting, and you don't have to you don't have to participate in arbitrage if you don't want to. But if you want to burn the coin and you want to trigger, if you want to fuel the buy and burn for the perma asset, you just participate, right?
I think you said it best, right? Like, if you were to explain this to someone, I think that's probably the best way to do it. Is it just makes your token deflationary. All like the little nuances and like the technicalities, like it's good to know if like especially you're wanting to participate in the protocol and like you want to know how it works and stuff. But if let's say the permabull gets deployed on whatever token you're looking at, I think long story short, the goal of it is to make your token deflationary and to have some sort of like the permabull added to it, right? Like add some sort of buy pressure behind the scenes. So I think those are what's important, right? Because like we know in crypto, like the only thing that matters is people buying and holding. Literally the only thing that matters is people buying and holding and not selling. You can like, there's other metrics too, like if you want to know how much your coin will go up, like how many people know about it now versus how many people will know about it in the future. Richard Hart's talked about that plenty. But in terms of these protocols and stuff, like I think Max says it best. Like it makes your tokens deflationary, and it provides a solution to buy from the market and have those tokens never be sold, which is the recipe for price appreciation. So yeah, that's sort of how I would go about it.
Yeah, I want to talk about too, just some things that there's some people, who I don't know, like the coins, don't like the coins, are really excited about this kind of features they can do, or may not get it or otherwise, or just may like, yeah, I just want to focus on the core coins. Everyone can do their own thing. I think, again, what's most fascinating to me to this is I think it's good for PulseChain. I think it's like they got this clear tech and price performance narrative. It's got, at least in theory, right? It's got this whole building out of like bringing communities together, ecosystem, sustainable models and all these different ways, principles based. And, I was just thinking too, like, what are some things to think about if you're, if you don't have GIF, or as a holder, if you do. For me, it's always been about like the deployments, right? Like what's next, right? Like, that's kind of the exciting. It's kind of like built-in excitement of like, what is next? What is the next token? The team, they put up polls and stuff on Telegram, and I've even done some on Twitter and stuff too to see what people are interested in. A lot of people, would like to see it built on Hex. Let's burn some more Hex, buy and burn for Hex. Of course, PulseX. A lot of the core coins, Pulse even. And then there's plenty of communities that the poll is included too, and even have even gotten their own in the last few weeks too, such as the Nope token and LUSD and all that too. But it's kind of like one of those no ceiling, what can't you build on type of things. And if you're a GIF holder, PGIF holder and stuff too, it all comes back to benefit. I mean, it's not the only thing, but it does benefit all these protocols. I mean, you could, nobody knows for sure that it could the next deployments could do something different. But the idea, I guess, the narrative would be the communities get this deflationary tech, and then when they participate, that goes into that fuels the buy and burn for the new token they created, the perma asset, but also some of it goes back to the GIF and PGIF holders. So that fuel for the buy and burn really relies on the community interaction, community participation, just like everything else. Like people need to communicate or participate and interact with these things for them to work, and for the buy and burn to build up, and for it to have an effect and all that stuff too. So it's really this buy pressure thing. When you feel like you understand permabull pretty well as well, around the buy pressure, the flywheel of it all like happening, and the minting and all that stuff too. And we've seen over the last few weeks, like some of the minting stop and go and back and forth. And even, you talked about the ceiling and the arbitrage stuff. And it's still hilarious to me today that like iBurn is like the prime example here of being less than. So just for context, everyone who's not familiar, to mint iBurn, you need, for every ICOSA, you need 1,500 PLS. So if you compare it with to mint PGIF, you just need 10 PLS per one GIF to mint PGIF. 1,500 with ICOSA. Again, building new tech, experimental, trying all these new things. And the other two that have been released recently have dynamic ceiling. Maybe we'll get into that a little bit later as well, where they're based on the price of the token itself. But these are static. These are 10 to 1, 1,500 to 1. So in theory, right, in an efficient market, I guess, you would say that, okay, well, if it ever drops below, if it's ever the same price, wow, well, that's minus, it's the same price in Pulse at least. Well, shouldn't it always be like 1,500 plus that at least? If it ever drops below the price of that asset, such as ICOSA, which Kong will get into with the spreadsheets in a bit as well, it's like, whoa, like either like what happened there? Like the minting stopped, the community stopped participating, one thing or another. And again, this could change. It could, we're gonna, it could just be bear market stuff. It could be community just not engaging yet, or it could never happen. But it's one of those things where it's not like there's no automatic money printer type of thing. Even if the protocol is well designed, it does all this stuff, the community still has to participate. The people, the holders and stuff who want to see the thing run, they have to keep, fueling it. They have to keep putting economic energy in. And so the whole thing can rise up just like every other system ever designed that, that does these types of things. So, I don't know, do you want to talk about the ARB? Do you want to talk about the supply? What is interesting metrics and stuff for this ecosystem?
So a couple things to sort of build on top of what you were saying, in terms of like more deployments and stuff. That's what I would like to see. Like, I speculate, and I have no idea if they'll ever release an EHEX and PHEX sort of price peg between them. But I do speculate if there's a way to, and wonder if there's a way to incentivize people to go ahead and peg their EHEX and PHEX together through some sort of protocol. And even now we've seen like iBurn, like I think it's worth less than the PICOSA in terms of its pulse value, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, like considering it should cost like 1,500 pulse more than the pulse price of ICOSA. So yeah, you're right. Like you still need to have the market participation and people like actually realizing like the value and seeing the value in what's there. But I mean, to see something like to see like a Giff-Tec or a perma bullish tokenomics applied to EHEX and PHEX, I think that would be pretty cool. As well as what we're seeing with a lot of these with a lot of this Giff-Tec is, especially with iBurn in particular, that's the one I'll use for this example, is it'll actually bootstrap potentially some of your favorite coins without you even necessarily realizing it. So for example, when iBurn and ICOSA, when they were all like, I guess, doing well, you had people that were incentivized to, instead of taking their PICOSA, which is more expensive, they were buying EICOSA for the cheaper price. And that actually caused the two prices of those two tokens to almost peg together. And while that was happening, since the EHEX price was so low on the Ethereum network and the ICOSA price on the Ethereum network was rising, we actually saw ICOSA hit its ceiling price. Now, what this means is that there's another arbitrage opportunity that presents itself, meaning that you could make an HSI, or if you have an HSI, but for this example, I'll just say you make an HSI. So you buy Hex off the market, right? So now you're buying Hex from the market. You're going to the ICOSA Hedron protocol. You're depositing your money into the smart contract, making an HSI for 5555. So you've essentially bought and burned Hex for 15 years. And then you're sending it to ICOSA, which fuels the auctions, which means more yield for any ICOSA stakers. I still have ICOSA staked. So like whichever people were arbitraging the some of the ceiling price back when ICOSA was doing extremely well, a lot of those HSIs are going to get recycled into the auction house, and then people will bid on them, and then that creates yield for ICOSA stakers. And so what we've actually seen is maybe it was intentional, maybe it was sort of like a trickle down effect, or like a consequence of the protocol being launched. But what we've seen was EHEX actually get bought and burnt off the market for 15 years as a response of iBurn being launched, right? Because I think that was one of the major catalysts. I think iBurn was the major catalyst that caused the ICOSA from Ethereum to reach its ceiling price. So like you were saying, like you don't have to participate, you don't have to touch the smart contracts, you don't have to do any arbitrage. But if your token does get chosen, or if any of the like RH tickers like PulseX, PulseChain, Incentive, if any of them get chosen, there will probably be some sort of trickle down effect that happens that benefits like a ton of users over on the Pulse chain, right? Or on the like the old Ethereum network, if there's any like RH tickers still over there. So that yeah, that's sort of my take on it. And even now, like that iBurn is relatively cheap. I guess there is that sort of play where like you can speculate on it, sort of like ICOSA. You can speculate on it going back to its ceiling price. And I know people who didn't think ICOSA would ever go back to its ceiling price in terms of hex. I didn't know when that was going to happen. I didn't know what the catalyst would have been for that. But we'll see things like appear out of nowhere, right? The market can change on a dime, and products can be released that actually that are net positives for like a lot of different users, right? Like, and I don't think, yeah, I don't think it's a value extraction per se, right? Like, especially when you're looking at like the whole trickle down effect of what happened, especially with iBurn and stuff like that. And who knows, there's probably more like nuances, especially with Espel and Noble. I know there's the whole like narratives going around with like pegging some of the stable coins on Pulse Chain. So who knows if like even these protocols can help contribute to that. But yeah, it's interesting. It is very interesting stuff to sort of see like to see it get deployed on things that are not for everyone on Pulse Chain, but for a lot of users over on the Pulse Chain. So
Yeah, I really don't know what the case against it is. I don't know. I've again, I've interviewed the founders. I've had all the. I feel like I've had conversation. I've had so many different conversations. I've looked at the tech. I've looked at what I think it can do for the ecosystem. I don't know. I don't really see the value extraction. I see the value. Like I can make the case for value addition so much more clearly, especially over time with sustainable protocol. I mean, it's not like there was just this like tech that came around, or not even tech. There's not just this thing that came up like, okay, we're going to go support all these communities, and you got to rely on all these people to do it. And it's like there's this protocol that has this design that is meant to do all these things, and all it needs is people pressing the buttons, or or otherwise just participating in the system, and it can help all the community, help the different communities. Again, who knows what derivatives or otherwise or core coins may like. Again, all those conversations happen. That's what really gets people excited. I don't know. I see so many different things to get excited about rather than not. I mean, even some of the technicals too with the coin itself, for the native coins, we could say for GIF and PGIF, both the supply of the coins are dwindling from 1 billion total. 1 billion total PGIF, or 1 billion total GIF. GIF gets burned. PGIF shares that 1 billion as well, because it can only be created with GIF. At this point, 25%, I'll pull up the chart. Yeah, 25% of GIF has been burned. 75% of the supply is still out there, but 25% is the biggest holder, single wallet holder, at least the dead address of GIF is the burner address, man. Like what are these? Do you see pumpamentals? Like what are people missing about this stuff?
that the 1 billion metric was one thing that really caught my attention, because it is a little bit, it's a little bit counterintuitive to think about, because you are like you're minting a token in a way, or creating or doing whatever. So you'd think like you'd think if you're creating value on the other side and those things two are like pegged to each other, then it might bring the whole thing down. But how it works is like, since you are just, I'm gonna say destroying your gift, but you're sending it to the dead address. But since you are getting rid of it, the supply of pgif, and I guess like besides in the burn address and stuff, but the supply of pgif and gif can only combined be 1 billion, which I think is super duper interesting. There's also the market cap as well, right? So since the GIF is sitting in the burn address, it'll still be added onto the market cap as well. I believe that's right, right?
Yeah, so sitting on the burn address, it hasn't been deleted, but with PGIF,
Yeah,
I think it actually gets deleted when it gets
yeah.
bought and burned.
So yeah, GIF could have like if there is a time and place, some sort of catalyst that happens, and we get back to the ceiling price of PGIF versus GIF, and there's the arbitrage opportunity starts to present itself, and let's say the thing goes crazy, we can start to see like the market cap of GIF become almost relatively high just because of how much economic energy might get sent over to that dead address and just parked there, right? And it is also like sort of self-regulating in a way where I think the PGIF and the GIF, they won't deviate from each other too far, and then like eventually like if you're like eventually you're gonna run out of arbitrage opportunity, and then if you were to create PGIF, you're not going to sell it at a loss. So there will be that sort of equalizing factor that brings the two tokens together. But it'll be interesting to see the experiment, especially I'm going to be watching like the market cap of GIF and stuff, and paying attention to like how much money sits in that dead wallet. So
It's got to be low right now. Does it show market cap on this one? Volume 2K, market cap. It's got to be like in a single millions or so. You got to pull it up.
I think it was I'll pull up the dex screener. It's 8.7 million according to dex screener.
Okay, gotcha. I knew it was pretty. Yeah, of course, when it did the big run up, it went up quite a bit. But yeah, I mean, again, everyone's like, "Oh, low cap gems, special." Like when I look at this, that's the funny thing. I'm not like the low cap gem hunter or anything like that. But when I see solid tech coins on PulseChain doing stuff like this with like sub 10 million market cap, it's comical, man. Like I'm like, wow. I don't know. It's my personal opinion. I hope it does. Hope market cap goes way higher than that. But it's like it's not even comparable to most of the other things out there in the same metrics, in my opinion. So,
looking at the chart, it said the market cap was as high as like over 100 million, over 130 million. I don't know how accurate the dex screener is at calculating the market cap chart, because I think there's nuances with how it's done. But just looking at if we're just taking the chart at face value, it looks like went all the way up to 132 million. So that is kind of crazy, right? I don't think we've seen very many PulseChain projects at all besides RH tickers that really go over like 10, 15, 25 million maybe. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see, especially like we were saying earlier, like the GIF and the PGIF. I don't think it is a value extraction. Like if there's an arbitrage opportunity, then you're incentivized to take it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like it's the same thing as ICOSA, right? Like if the arbitrage opportunity presents itself and you have the technical know-how to actually take advantage and profit from that, and you like understand slippage and like what you're doing essentially, I don't see any problem with that. And if that provides if that provides Pulse to not only like we were talking about the benevolent OA a little bit, which I think is super interesting. But not only a benevolent OA, but also a buy and burn. That could be a very good recipe. I mean, we've seen the price come down quite a bit now. Like I think it's like over 95% or something like that.
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah, so I mean, I think a lot of it's weird, right? Like a lot of people like this might be like a little off topic, not really. Like a lot of people when things are going up, they'll take it as less risky, and then as soon as it starts to go down, it becomes more risky. But it's almost like the opposite, right? Like as soon as something's dropped 95 plus percent, like it becomes a little less risky than buying at the absolute top, right? Or as soon as it's having like insane green candles. So we'll see. But we've seen a lot of tokens on PulseChain get launched and have like similar charts to this, right? Like crazy run-ups, retracements, crazy like more crazy run-ups, a little bit more retracements, crazy run-ups, a little bit more retracements. But I wouldn't be surprised, like not financial advice or anything, like I don't know the future, but I wouldn't be surprised if that PGIF price starts to reach its ceiling again, and everything starts to get kick-started. And maybe that won't even be the only catalyst, right? There will probably be a reason why everything kicks off again. But maybe now it's just a waiting game, right? Like the chart looks like it's been accumulating for a little bit. So perhaps it's perhaps people are accumulating it behind the scenes. So that's sort of I don't know. That's sort of a quick take on like the price performance and stuff like that, and like the value, and like the lack of, like, I guess, value extraction, you could say. Like there is people who will make money, but I don't think the arbitrage, like, you're not scamming people, right? Like it's I don't think so. So
Yeah, I have not been any less fascinated with the tech when the price was going up versus down. Nothing has changed except, the price went up a lot. You look at the chart, see what happened. Again, like you said, there's plenty of charts that have done similar things, and this is the hottest tech on PulseChain. It really is. So I'm like, I'm not interested. I didn't even know what the price was till I saw it here earlier. I didn't even know what it was. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's sitting around just over a penny right now. I don't know how much that is in Pulse, probably 250 Pulse, somewhere through there. But yeah, it's one of those things where I'm just, as you mentioned, the buy and burn. We'll get into the OA in a minute. I think that's fascinating. That's not something that is talked about enough, I don't think. I haven't seen like a lot of analysis of those things, but I love how everything is on chain for this. You can see, just looking at the contract, the PGIF contract, you can see the mints coming in. You can see the trickling down from the other protocols. The stable community has been super, super active. You got some from Noble here as well. You got the buy and burn here running because it's being fueled. You got 40 million in the PLS in the buy and burn right now. You can see all these things happening day after day. People participating, communicating with the protocol. Also, the OA, I'll drop this in the chat. My first interaction or my first instinct was, anytime I see an OA,
yeah,
I always think of like, yeah, you know what, dev makes money, or founder fund or whatever it is. Like, especially for this one, for example, is 10% of is it 10% across the board? 10% for all the coins?
I don't know if it's for. I think there are slightly different numbers for some of the different protocols, but I know PGIF and GIF.
Yeah, PGIF and GIF, and then PGIF, I guess, to buy and burn. Is it?
It looks like Stable and Noble don't even get an OA allocation, but perhaps I'm missing something.
Yeah, so PLS. Anyways, let's just go with this chart for now, not to get too sidetracked. But let's just say, generally speaking, 10%. Let's just talk about the GIF and PGIF. 10% of the Pulse goes to OA used for minting and stuff. And I thought it was interesting. I was like, oh, again, piggy bank, whatever. Dev deserved it. Cool. We made a good product. Like, I didn't even think much about it. And then I looked at it, like, you know what? I'm going to look at the transaction. I want to see what the OA is doing. I'm curious, like, what are they doing? And you can see, all these coming in that are going into OA's account. This is, from the mint function here and stuff too. And I was looking at it the other day, and I was like, man, you can see the stuff coming in, but if you really look, and we'll look at the holdings here in a minute, but if you see the actions the OA has been taking, I don't know how you get more benevolent than literally buying GIF. You can see the swap here, buying GIF. You can see it minting. So basically, when it's minting PGIF, it's burning the GIF. So it's buying the GIF, burning the GIF, and using the PLS to mint the PGIF. So it's further, it's participating in the system in, very benevolent ways. I can see. I think it holds some no period 2. I don't know if it's minting and using those protocols, but you can see the holdings, majority is PGIF, that it's used the Pulse to buy GIF off the market and mint it. So it's kind of like being like that. I mean, from all the actions I've seen on chain, it is your ideal community member, your ideal whale, your ideal, like, money, whatever money comes in, it's just basically buying and being a good steward to the ecosystem type of thing. And I just thought that was unexpected. I was like, yeah, I would be perfectly curious, if I just looked at the profile and just had a ton of Pulse and never moved for a long period of time, I'm like, yeah, whatever, that makes sense. But I look at it and I see it actually trying to help the ecosystem. And I just thought that was a really cool benefit that maybe not a lot of people realize too. And again, no expectations. It could change at any moment, but so far, a lot of benevolent actions going on there.
I wonder if the OA will do some sort of some sort of, I wonder if they'll do like what Richard Hart does, right? Like Richard Hart style pumps. It looks like it's already been happening, but kind of like I haven't seen it like been super like made super public, right? Like I guess you have less people probably tracking the wallet and stuff like that, but it's very interesting to me because usually, like you were saying, when I hear OA, uh there's probably exceptions, but usually my first sort of thoughts is like, oh yeah, this person like like you made the project, like you take your money, do whatever you want with it, like no expectations, like don't really expect them to keep the money, don't really expect them to like spend it on whatever assets, but like whatever, like it's their money effectively, right? So the fact that that OA created an allocation, or at least percent of the percent of the mints go into his wallet or her wallet or its wallet or whatever, the Duck's wallet, whoever the OA is. Um, it'll be interesting to see like because usually founders they are quite smart, so and they understand things like liquidity, they understand things like liquidity bonding, Hart's law, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They also understand their protocol most likely better than everyone else, or better than anyone else. There's probably exceptions to that, but I would say most founders understand their project more than the average person. So I wonder if there's like some sort of like real game theory game going on behind that OA allocation, and if like there's probably some things planned. You can already see some things happening on chain, but I wonder if there will be like some sort of treasury that gets built up, and if that has to do with something else, maybe like speculating on more protocols in the future, and maybe the OA can bootstrap using some of his own allocations, or his or her or the Ducks allocations or whatever. So
Quack quack. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I didn't even notice there was some eye burns. It seems like they just have been buying and minting, and therefore burning coins that are related to the GIF ecosystem. That's what I've seen so far. Pretty amazing. And yeah, how that changes in the future. Again, there's no expectations from any of the OA stuff, as we know. But I just think it's cool. I think it's cool that it's not just, again, my expectation was a piggy bank or a,
yeah.
this is not going to help anything else fund. This is, whatever. But it turned out to be, again, so far, a pretty valuable community member that we should not rely on in any way, but kind of a nice bonus, it looks like.
So yeah, I mean that kind of also goes on to like the whole like value extraction thing, right? Like if you're talking about value add versus value take, like it looks like the OA is like they have their own allocation, but doesn't look like they're just extracting it, like bridging it out of PulseChain. And even if they do, like it's their piggy bank, right? Like do whatever you want to do with it. But that is interesting to see that they're sort of they're redistributing it again, right? Like let's put it back through. So I like that a lot. Like that's really good to see on chain too, especially.
Yeah, and that's the quick key point. You can see all this on chain. It's not like you just need to. Nobody's telling you, oh, trust me. No, it's okay. No, wait, no expectations. All this stuff. You can see on chain what they're doing. Like, don't tell me, kind of show me type of thing. That was pretty cool. That's something I haven't, you don't get to see everywhere. Take a couple questions real quick, and I want to get into calling spreadsheets too, because that's where some of the meat is, the technical stuff. I like it. Hans asks, can anybody tell me why the hell GIF is more expensive than PGIF? Can you tell him, Colin?
My simple explanation would just be people are selling more PGIF than GIF. This could be like if somebody had done an arbitrage, like when let's say there was profit, and then they sell down the PGIF price, and then that gap slowly starts to close. There is people who want to just cut their losses short, and I wouldn't be surprised if that has something to do with it as well. Like they just don't want to wait for like that the prices to equalize essentially, and they're just like whatever, get me out. But that could be it. It could also have to do with just less user activity, right? Like a little bit less attention, a little bit less volume happening. So there's probably just like not as much as incentive to actually go and participate. I think people like at least some people have like short in crypto, especially have like short like attention spans for like projects and stuff, and like it is a little bit hard to to kind of keep everyone paying attention for like an extended period amount of time. Like you have to have some really good stories going and narratives. So
Yeah, I mean, if you think about GIF and PGIF, GIF is PGIF. It's just made up of 10 PLS per GIF. So you would think people would be like, I don't want to sell my PGIF because that's the thing, that's the, more valuable one, or in theory, because it's made up of Pulse and GIF type of theory. But yeah, it's funny. It's funny how you've seen PGIF be more expensive, and we'll talk about more of that in arbitrage too. But I don't know, it's the market. The market saying that
the market decided.
The market decided, at least for a period of time, that they wanted to sell some PGIF more than GIF at the time. Which is there's all these bullish narratives you can come up with too around why do people don't want to sell GIF, or like why they want to sell PGIF more than GIF. And I think that the most interesting thing I got to philosophically was, or I guess somewhat philosophically, I like to think about it, is if I have GIF, I can always make more PGIF. But I can't if I have PGIF, at least I can't make more GIF, as the way the system works. So I don't know, maybe it's kind of like I always have the tool to make the machine, and therefore I value the machine less, even though the machine, like in theory, is made up of more valuable parts. I don't know.
It could also be like just an inefficient market, right? Like it should be worth 10 pulse more, but it's not, just because like the market just the market, right?
Decided.
Yeah, the market decided. So, but I think in a perfect world, like in theory, what should happen is people see like, oh yeah, this coin should be worth 10 pulse more than this other coin. Let me buy it and wait for that ceiling price to come, and then I'll trade back out of it. But maybe people haven't like, well, I mean, clearly people haven't, like the market hasn't really thought of that, or like maybe they've thought of it, but they haven't like taken action on that, right? You haven't actually gone in to speculate on PGIF because it looks like the market's being inefficient, like it's relatively undervalued to its like smart contract price, let's say. And I mean, eventually, I don't really believe that the market's efficient at all, but eventually there should be people who sort of pick up on that and want to speculate on the PGIF going back to its ceiling, and then hopefully there will be people that will close the gap and then be able to sort of have like the reverse arbitrage trade, like it's like buying ICOSA now and then waiting for it to hit ceiling, type of thing. So, and then once it hits ceiling, going back into hex. It's kind of like a trade like that. So we'll see, but so far, like it looks like just the market is being inefficient, I guess. So
Hexmol says dynamic fee coming to P, perhaps. Interesting. Don't know anything about that, but that could be dynamic. So yeah, we talked a little bit in the green room about static versus the dynamic fees and stuff too. Maybe we'll talk more about that when we get to arbitrage, but who knows? I mean, again, if you're not very excited about the GIF ecosystem, my number one thing is like, are you betting against more communities not coming in? Like, are you literally betting against that there's only going to be 3 coins this thing is going to be built on, when there could easily be 30 or 300 or whatever it is? Like, I'm not trying to give GIF a stroke out there or anything. I want to keep them healthy and all that. I know the deployments are hard, just like software, but it's like, how is this not the most like, ceilingless, pun intended, type of thing as far as communities go and growth? It's anyways, it's that fact alone is just bullish to me, because more communities, again, kind of joins everyone together. Could be more liquidity. It could mean just all these things. It's like this positive feedback loop as well.
And it's a new idea, right? So like we've seen buy-in burdens before, like we've seen like different like arbitrage, ceiling price, like things like this, but we've never seen it like sort of we've never seen something like exactly like this, where you have a system that incentivizes people under certain market conditions to arbitrage the price, which actually like creates a different token, and then fuels buy-in burns, right? So I've personally never seen anything like this before. It's quite interesting to see, and the fact that it could, like, imagine if we have like a permable for like all these different, like every token on PulseChain, or like all the top ones or something like that. People, like, again, like you'd probably have participation, like at the first little bit. We'll see like how people really carry on with that. But this could be
What's
like a go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what's the case against that? Like, why wouldn't like all the most popular protocols like what would make that not happen? Would it just really just need us to the community again, because when it happens, when you build on something, you need the holders, which are oftentimes the community, to participate. Otherwise, it doesn't, the flywheel doesn't keep going, and things, market isn't as efficient, all that stuff. So other than literally just not, is it just like a lack of trust? Like people just don't want to build, like to other people to build on their stuff unless they, trust it, that it's not a scam type of thing? Or is it literally, can the holders just not see like the value, or it's in their best interest to, be a part, participate in such a thing because it is burning their token and there's like this cool flywheel effect and stuff? Like what would make that not happen? Like where would the failure have to be?
I'm not. It's hard to say in terms of like people hating on the GIF. I could see like I could see if like you're turning in your tokens for something else. Uh, you'd want also that other token to do extremely well. Because like you've essentially traded your value for it. So the only like negative downside I could see is like if somebody were like if you launch on like a random project, let's say you launch on Hex, and then all the Hexkins trade in their value, trade in all their Hex for whatever new token there is, and then the new token, like something goes wrong with it and like collapses, and like I don't think there's any code vulnerabilities, but let's say that there is or something like that, or like another imaginary horrible happens, then that might be a problem, right? Because I mean, you've still burnt all the hex, which is good, right? For anyone who's still holding hex. But in terms of like the end user, like where your hex is all gone, right? You are better off just holding it in your wallet and then letting, like, let's say everyone else go in there and like throw their hex away and essentially burn it. So I could see things like that. But in terms of like, in terms of the mechanics themselves, assuming that everything all works all good and like works as intended, let's say, I don't see a problem with it, right? Because theoretically, I wouldn't use any of, like, let's just say for iBurn, I wouldn't use any of my previous ICOSA bags to go and like trade in and like do this and that. If I wanted to, I would go buy new ICOSA from the market and then go participate in the protocol, which I think is net positive for your coin, right? Because now that you have the permeable like smart contract, you might actually incentivize people to go to the market, right? So like this
Mm,
may be a new holder, right? Incentivize them to go to the market, buy the token, and then go trade it into their platform, essentially like it's almost like fiat in a way. So I think that would be positive. And I don't know if I see, I mean, assuming everything works as intended, I don't necessarily see, I don't see any issues with that, because you're fresh user buys from the market, trades it in. Let's say that token gets sent to the burn address. Like where's the wrongdoing exactly? Like I don't see how that isn't beneficial for the token holders
mm.
previously.
I have not heard. That is a very interesting perspective, man. I like I mean, even though you were saying, I might not take my ICOSA that I hold and turn it into iBurn, I would be more incentivized to go buy new ICOSA. Therefore, the whole it's like it's even more. It's like even cooler, because at that
Yeah.
point you're taking whatever community is built on, whatever coin is built on, you're adding fundamentals for them. You're saying, hey, here's another use case for ICOSA. I can make iBurn with it, right? Like you're literally incentivizing people, whatever perma asset is built on the coin inherently incentivizes holders who don't want to part with their holdings to go buy that coin that they like, buy more of it, and use that to turn into the perma asset. Therefore, still participating in the system, just with new coins that just had the buy pressure applied on. That's pretty
It
cool.
almost acts as two buy and burns. If you have someone going to the market, buying ICOSA, trading it into the iBurn contract, that gets sent to the dead address. So you've essentially bought and burned the ICOSA. And then part of your fee that you paid, assuming that you weren't just trading it in for a loss, if you were trading it in for like a iBurn that was worth more or above its ceiling price, then some of that some of that pulse is going to get chopped up and sent to the iBurn buy and burn as well, and the PGIF buy and burn as well, it sounds like. So it sounds like it's even 3 buy and burns, right? So not only the smart contract buy and burn, but the user actually going in there buying and burning his token or sending it to the dead address, and then also topping up the GIF buy and burn as well, which who knows could like, there's probably models you can make where like that trickles down into the rest of some of the sort of tokens and stuff like that. And what I would like to see is like all sorts of different ecosystems, sort of like let's say decorrelated ecosystems, have this technology applied on top, and then to see if like you can bond all the tokens together like through liquidity. So like let's say you have like one token decides to pump up 50% one day and the other ones aren't really doing so well. Maybe there's like an arbitrage opportunity between like that sort of thing as well. I think that would be super interesting. But again, like it's probably it seems, I don't know, this thing, the whole like Giff-Tec, like I think if you're just sort of taking a look at it like a surface layer, like it might seem like super complex. But I think it is quite simple. Like I think it is quite simple. Like Max says, like make your token deflationary, right? Like buy and burn it. So
Buy and burn. Everyone likes to buy and burn. That's the cool thing. It's kind of adopted some of these really cool mechanics. Again, PulseX, the OG buy and burner of PulseChain. People like it. All right, man. I left you 10 minutes to do your arbitrage
that's
spreadsheet.
fine.
Everyone came here for that. They didn't come here to talk about anything. They wanted to see Kong's new spreadsheet, and so I apologize for a short amount of time. But we're gonna blaze through. It's gonna be great.
No, 10 minutes should be the perfect amount of time. So if you're able to share this in the chat, that would be great as well for anyone who wants to, like, I think this would be like good for like learning and stuff like that. If you want to sort of take a look at the different prices and stuff.
You want to drop the link in the chat or private, and I'll get it in there.
Oh yeah, sure.
Either way, I'm not sure if you're mod. If not, you should.
I'll drop it in the private chat if you want to throw it in the public one for me.
Got it. All right, all good. Done.
All right, sweet. So this is the GIF price ceilings plus some of the arbitrage calculations. So all you would have to do is sort of plug in some of these prices, like anything that's not colored here, like the GIF price, the PGIF price, you'd have to just plug it in. I was doing this yesterday, so probably some of the prices now are a bit out of date. I'll just do one example just on the stream. So if anyone wants to use the spreadsheet, they can go ahead and do it. But all I do is I just copy this price and pulse, right? You come over here. That was the GIF token. So I'm going to paste that in here. And then I'll go over to my watch list. I should have everything here. PGIF, grab the PGIF price and PulseChain. And then you would paste that in here. And then essentially what you would see is if this is red, that means there's no arbitrage opportunity. And if it's green, that means there is an arbitrage opportunity. Now, what is also cool about this is it'll tell you the price ceiling for PGIF. So it'll tell you how much pulse it needs to be worth in order for that arbitrage opportunity to either like break even. And then if it goes above that price, then you start to become profitable, right? So let's say I were to take this and paste it into here. You can see here the value turns white because the white essentially means that you're break even. Like you're not making money, you're not losing money. You're probably losing money after slippage. But just like assuming there's slippage doesn't exist and you're living in a perfect world, this is like your break even price. And then if I were to go one above that, you can see it flips green. And then that means that there's an arbitrage opportunity present and that you should go like, that means that there's an incentive for you to go to the market and do the arbitrage. So that's sort of, that's basically all it is. Maybe I'll also do the iBurn one just because like it's super cheap right now and it's a little bit more like nuanced because there is like the ETH ICOSA and the PulseChain ICOSA that you can both put into the smart contract in order to like mint the iBurn, right? So if we're taking a look at ICOSA, let me grab this one. This is the one on PulseChain. I'll copy the price here and I'll paste it into here. So as well as we'll need the EICOSA price, ICOSA from Ethereum. paste it into the spreadsheet. And then last but not least would be the iBurn price. That one's also important. And you can see here, like iBurn right now is costing less than ICOSA on PulseChain. So like if I was a real speculator, I would buy some iBurn. And as soon as it goes over that arbitrage opportunity, I would go back into ICOSA. The same way you would buy ICOSA right now as leverage on Hex, wait for it to hit its ceiling price, and then sell your Hex. Sell your ICOSA back for Hex. So here we are. You can see here, this is the current difference. It's not 1500. For you guys remember, for GIF it's 10 pulse, and then an arbitrage opportunity presents itself. For iBurn it's 1500 pulse, and then an arbitrage opportunity presents itself. So currently like we're way under that, but you can see here this is the price ceiling for the ETH ICOSA. I'll use the price ceiling for the native one just because it's a bit higher. But if, let's say, iBurn were to go to 2520 pulse, let's say, you can see here that's basically the break-even price. I'll have to break-even price, and you could actually at that point start arbitraging the ICOSA from Ethereum into like the iBurn and stuff like that. So and then there you can see it, like if iBurn were to go straight up to 2520, then boom, you get that 1500 pulse difference, and that allows you to essentially take up that arbitrage opportunity, and it'll become profitable. I guess now that we're here, I'm gonna have to talk about Noble and S-Bull because they also have slightly different mechanics. Like we were talking about, like the static versus the dynamic arb prices, let's call them, or ceiling prices, fee. I don't even know what you want to call them, but Noble's a bit different because what you're doing is you're sending in one nope, and then, or let's say you're sending in one nope, whatever the value of that nope is in PulseChain is going to be the protocol fee. So let's say right now one nope is worth 58 pulse. For this example, I'm not going to the deck screen. I'm just going to use whatever I have here. But let's say, for example, your nope was worth 58 pulse. That would mean that your fee would also be about 58 pulse, because you would pay the price of nope, like the cost of nope in pulse as your protocol fee. So that would mean that your full cost, essentially, so that'd be your nope that you're entering into the smart contract plus the amount of pulse, like in PulseChain terms, you're entering into the smart contract, would be about 116 pulse worth of value, right? And then you can see here your Noble price is only 110 pulse. So if I were to, let's say, take $116 and then trade it for 110, that wouldn't make any sense whatsoever. Because, I mean, unless like you're a good guy and like you want to like take that deal for some reason, but I don't think anyone's incentivized to take 116 bucks and trade it for 110. So that's sort of how this arbitrage opportunity works. But you can see here, like, let's say the nope price falls a little bit, but the Noble price stays the same in terms of pulse. You'll see here the arbitrage opportunity presents itself because your full cost is only 90 PLS, but you're actually, one Noble, which is what you're minting, is worth 110 PLS. So you could send in 90 worth of value and take out 110 pulse worth of value, which is pretty cool, right? So that's sort of how the arbitrage opportunity works there. It's the same thing with S-Bull, same exact thing. You have your LUSD price. If you this is in pulse. If you were to send in one LUSD, it also costs you the LUSD value in pulse as a protocol fee. So this would be your full cost essentially. If you're sending in one LUSD, it would cost you this much PulseChain. And then here's the S-Bull price, right? You can see here, this is the same thing as, like, let's just remove a couple zeros. Let's say you had let's say you had 7 cents, you wouldn't trade it for 6 cents, right? That's not a good deal. That doesn't really make sense. But let's say the LUSD price and Pulse started to drop. Let's say it went to 3.0. You can see there the arbitrage opportunity presents itself because you're essentially trading, let's say, $6 for $6.3, and then you can profit on that immediately through the smart contract. So that's super basic. essentially how the arbitrage opportunities work on GIF and PGIF, and like iBurn and Noble and SBull. There's also the ceiling prices and stuff like that. So you can see here, this is the PGIF ceiling, and then would be the current price if we were actually here. I think if I remember correctly, it was like 232 or something like that. It's probably a little bit more than that, but either way, it'll tell you your current PGIF price. It'll tell you the ceiling price that it would need to hit in order for that arbitrage opportunity to present itself, and same thing all the way down the line. So yeah, I recommend, if you're still finding, because I think the arbitrage opportunities was the one thing, like when I was getting that's what I wanted to uncover first. Like for me, I prioritize certain information, and like I just prioritize information, right? And for me, like the arbitrage opportunity was like, I think that was one of the things I wanted to prioritize. And I think there is some good videos and explainers out there on YouTube, but I hope playing around with the numbers and stuff, and like seeing how it actually all comes together and seeing how everything works. Like I think this could actually help people sort of understand and conceptualize what's going on with GIF and PGIF and all the other, like, let's say perma bullish tokens. So I think that was about my 10 minutes. That's my little spiel. If anyone has like more questions and stuff on this, like feel free to message me on Twitter. You can see my handle. It's you can find me at cryptokong.pls.fyi. That's like my link tree. And then you can find my Twitter and my YouTube from there. But yeah, if you have any extra questions and stuff. So
I put the spreadsheet link in the I put it on the thread for the Twitter post as well. So yeah, awesome, man. Thank you for putting that together. That is like really cool to see. Again, the community building these different things. Still waiting on that stat side, everyone. Who wants to look into gift.com. I want to see the stat side. I mean, the gift reward win has
the
some
Dune
cool stats
analytics,
too.
man.
Yeah, I want the Dune analytics for perm assets and stuff. That'd be cool. Last question before we wrap up here. The Mo asked, shout out to the Mo, by the way. That's a couple great questions. Let's get to one because run out of time. What are most desirable communities to get into? I think, I'm not sure if Mo, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're asking Kong, like what other communities you think would be interested in getting the coin buy and burn deflationary, would be interested in Giff-Tec, or at least I'm gonna try to turn in that. Hopefully that's what you meant. Yeah, what do you think, Kong? We'll go out on that one.
I think it really depends. I'd like to see like some meme coins and stuff. And like if some meme coins are really able to adopt it and like really like get some value from that, I think that'd be really interesting, because I think that is the narrative I'm seeing like all around crypto right now, is like meme this, meme that, like meme coins, woohoo, and like DeFi projects, like especially when you're looking back from like 2020, 2021, like you had a lot more DeFi, less meme coins. Now it's sort of flipped, like a lot more meme coins that are pumping and less DeFi. So I'd like to see if there's some sort of maybe there's a way to sort of capture some larger communities with some of the technology and stuff. But other than that, I'm not really too sure in terms of like the most desirable communities to get into. I think like just whatever has a narrative going for it, to be honest with you. Like I don't see the point in launching this on a project that's dead, right? Like just for an example, like if your coin's done zero volume for the past year, I don't know why you would want to.
Let's get you a buy and burn.
Let's get you a buy and burn. Let's make your
That's what you're missing.
Deflationary.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, funny, that would be funny if that did kickstart community, but it would have to kickstart the community. The only way that could work right is if it kickstarted the community back participating again. That's what it needs. It needs a community participation, right?
And yeah, and I think that if you could have someone that's like if you come into a community that's like popping, and that brings a lot of attention to not only the meme coins and but to the GIF itself, right? And like I don't know what the protocol like would be called or whatever, but if that trickles down into all the other assets, like there's like I don't know, maybe 25% goes to the GIF buy and burn, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I could see some things really like coming together, right? But I would like to see it on communities that are like super active. I think that would be one of the most desirable things to see with communities that are super active and super there, like currently. So
Awesome, man. Well, great conversation as usual. Thanks for coming on and talking about Giff-Tec too.
yeah,
I like to. We had a community stream a few weeks ago. I've had founders on, but I always like to get people too that I know, like game mechanics and stuff like that, and are again, if we're trying to, look at other communities or people who, it always reminds me of like when Richard's like, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to people who aren't in yet. Kong, I don't know if you're in Giff-Tec or not, but the fact that you like to have conversations about game theory and stuff, we would take you if you ever wanted to become a gearhead or become a bigger gearhead. I don't know what you call it.
no, definitely, man. Like I had a lot of fun, and I like that. I like that they have the ICOSA, right? Like I don't see any problems with that. That was definitely, I think that was definitely one of the main catalysts that got me like super interested in some of these protocols, was just like the fact that they chose ICOSA. Like out of anything, like that's pretty much my favorite token. Like you got it like right there on the background. So
Yeah, ICOSA, and I like ICOSA a lot too because it's good for Hex and has all these positive things, and it's like,
yeah,
oh, good stuff. So, anyways, everyone out there, you can be a gearhead too. There's a Telegram. Not sure what it is. It's Giverware Win or something like that. I'm sure it's all over Twitter and otherwise you can find it. But CryptoKong at CryptoKong145 on Twitter. He's got YouTube. He's got videos. He comes on the show pretty much regular at this point because he says smart stuff. And yeah. CryptoKong. CryptoKong, you're awesome, man.
I try.
Appreciate you.
I try. No, I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me on again. Yeah, you guys, Max told you guys where to find me. If you guys, I'm good accepting messages. I know, like, I don't know if Max does, if your DMs are open or not, but
they aren't on Twitter, on Telegram though. With the place, man, I gotta stop. I went into a channel the other day to ask for help, and like immediately, the most legit looking people who were scam accounts messaged me, and I went through this like 5 or 10 minute conversation where I'm explaining. Then I realized they're like, "Oh, just click this link." And I'm like, "Hold on, what they're saying doesn't make any sense. Why would I? That has nothing to do with what I'm, my issue." And I look at the link, and it's clearly a scam link. I'm like, "Oh my gosh! All right, delete. Go away, block. Don't want to see it anymore." I'm like, "How does this?"
Block and report.
I'm like security guy too, and like, if I don't have it, if I see it after 10 minutes, I imagine how many other people are just going to be like, "Yeah,
There's some good scams."
I don't know how I don't know how I wish Telegram could do something. Even if some of them have blue stars, some of them have blue stars too, and they look legit and they have the same name. And some of them, they don't show their real username. You can like hide your username too, and like that makes it confusing. Anyways, be careful out there on Telegram. Telegram is open, I guess, but like I half the message I get are scammers and stuff. So
Especially, I think a quick thing to throw it in, like if you're being added to groups, I get added to ICOSA, contract migration, V2 upgrade. All of those are scams. The
you need to
ICOSA
amalgamate your
contract is not
coins.
out. Yeah, you need to, come click this link, connect your wallet. I've had people contact me, like even false ICOSA front ends have like drained people's wallets and stuff. So like you can't really say it enough. You have to like double, triple, quadruple check. If like bookmark it, if it's not the same thing you bookmarked, like it's not the same thing you bookmarked. So
yeah, just watch. That's why, Telegram, it's one of those things. It's be careful out there. A lot of scams on there. Don't click any links. Don't fall for people message you. Double, triple check everything. Even security guy, I was gone. I was like, literally, I wasn't even mad that like they tried to scam me. I was mad because you wasted my time. I'm trying to figure out this problem, and you wasted 10 or 15 minutes of my time, and then I finally figure out that you're just trying to scam me, kind of thing.
it's crazy. It's like a lot of time too to scam someone. So.
And it was like 2 different people. They like handed me off to another person. They make it sound like this legit
whole system.
person. I'm like, how do you? I mean,
it's customer service support team.
Security PSA. They even don't trust the blue stars and stuff on Telegram. I learned that as well. Anyways, that's all we got for you today. Scivive and 5555. We are out.